ladies and gentlemen, my name is Abe Watchin, and you're watching a very special Abe Godspeed.
Bouncing off buildings, we have building destruction as you fly by, pieces will fall off the buildings and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite things to do is in Avengers Playset I took Thor, and there's a really tall building that you can fly up the side, well, any building really, but there's one in particular that I'll take off and I'll fly toward it and fly up, and as you're flying up, you're just breaking apart the building as you fly past it really close. It's super cool. And you did a really good job with that. Okay, I'm gonna jump to some questions I want to ask these guys. So, guys, who's your favorite new character in the game? Or any character, actually.
You know, my favorite characters as an animator, I started on Hulk. So Hulk was my favorite character out of the gate. And he's still pretty high up there, but it was interesting as I went through these characters and I started a new avatar, I started learning more about their lore and looking at reference and just realizing how cool each of these are. So I went through a lot of ones, and some of the ones that were really, really awesome to me were like Nova. You know, one that I didn't really know a lot about. I saw Nova first in Marvel vs. Capcom, the game, which is a really cool game, and we kind of pulled a lot of reference from that. But Nova right now in Disney Infinity is coming from the television series. I didn't know much about Nova from the television series, but as we developed Nova, we were able to add a whole lot of special effects, and it was really sweet. I think one of the biggest changes for our characters from Infinity 1 is our special effects are a lot more over the top. They're really killer.
Yeah, our effects team is top notch. They're really good guys. And what's cool about the team too is I feel like it is a collaboration. Like there are a lot of ideas in the game where that came from, you know, Tim or Jamie or people on the effects team. Matt Osanuma is one of our effects guys, and he's brilliant, he's passionate. And Groot is a character that comes to mind. He really wanted to do something with like growing, you know, bark, and how can we get that feature in? And so we have this awesome bark armor feature that you can purchase in your skill tree when you're playing with Groot. That kind of like changes him, changes his silhouette, and protects it. It's really cool. It breaks off as he takes damage. But that, you know, totally came from someone in effects. So it's not all, you know, the designer. It's everyone. Who's your favorite?
Yeah, I mean, I spent a whole lot of time working on Iron Man, but probably my favorite is Rocket Raccoon, just because he's so awesome, and I love Bradley Cooper, and I love the movie, and just by the time you get Rocket Raccoon in our game loaded up, he just has two awesome big guns, and he just wastes everybody, and really good effects work on him too. And you know, he's a great example of one of my favorite things about our game too, is like it's cool to see all the Marvel characters, but they're done in like a Disney facade, you know, like it's really cool because we have world-class Disney artists at our studio, and they take all this Marvel stuff and kind of hammer it into Infinity, but I think it turned out looking great, so Rocket.
For sure. Yeah, he's cool. He's awesome. He's actually really fun to. You can upgrade his guns so you can charge them, and then they shoot out a really powerful explosive kind of bullet that sends. What does it do? Oh, it hits guys in an area of effect. So you can like get the center guy and it'll hit the enemies around him, which is really fun for me.
One of the fun things that we got to do as a character team on Disney Infinity. So we showed you the skill tree earlier, and the skill tree kind of is a representation of all the different mechanics that we have in our game. So as we're going through each new avatar, as we start Hulk and then we start like Black Widow and Captain America and Thor, we'll go through those mechanics, and we'll, you know, do a lot of research and try to figure out, okay, how does this mechanic fit inside this box for Thor? And as we're going through these, you know, adding all of these different combat mechanics, it was pretty clear that there's just so many cool abilities that these Marvel avatars were able to do, that we just kept adding more mechanics and more special abilities, and that's kind of why we needed so many effects, because there's just so much cool stuff that we had to add. So every time we, as developers, we kind of think like, okay, how can we do this the best way, but also in a manageable way where we can ship this on time. But it was very easy to get out of control, and then, oh, we got to do this for Hulk, and we got to do that for Thor, and then, oh, we can't have Spider-Man without doing this. we ended up with just a whole lot of awesome stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think actually one of the most surprising things that came out of doing this game for me was when we came into it, we knew we had a year. We had actually less than a year to do a sequel. And we had more characters to do than we had in the first game, with 20 levels of progression, new mechanics, new things that you get the player for each character. And that's a ton of work, right? We also knew that we wanted to do Marvel justice. A lot of us are super passionate about Marvel, but we had to have a balance. And I think early on, I was in the mindset of, oh man, we're gonna have to reuse animations. We're gonna have to, Cap's combo might have to look like Hawkeye's combo or Spidey's combo. And I didn't want to do that, but I didn't think we could get it done. But I think it's a testament to your team. The animators really went above and beyond to make sure that wasn't the case. There are very few, at least in combat, reused animations on any of the avatars in this game. When you go out and you buy an avatar, that avatar is going to be unique, and it's going to be true to property, and hopefully give you the experience you expect. If it's Spidey, it's going to be nimble. You'll have webs and web swinging and fast punches and kicks. If it's Hulk, he's slower, but he's super strong, and he's got the super jump and the wall crawl. And I'm really amazed at how far we took that.
Well, it's true. Our idea going into it was to make this library of animations. As we're doing, as a combat lead, I'm looking at a lot of reference. I'm looking at a lot of other games. I'm looking at a lot of even stuff like UFC fighting, looking at different moves. There's obviously a lot of great Marvel movies out there, and looking at all the stuff they are doing, and we're trying to put together this make this library of all the different motions we can pull from. But as we started each new avatar, it was like, this is just not doing Spider-Man justice if he's punching the same way as Captain America or Thor. So we really took it over the top, and it was fun. So because we wanted to provide a unique experience. Every new avatar that you play, we wanted it to feel very different. We wanted you to think of them differently. We wanted you to think of, oh, in this situation against these kind of enemies, I can totally drop Hulk down because he can handle them differently than Spider-Man, and that really helped out having a lot of different moves.
So what was your favorite character?
So my favorite character, so I have, my favorite figure, I think, is probably Hulk or Venom. Just looking at the toy, the IGP. But my favorite character to play with is Iron Fist. Just for my play style, he's not typical of other characters. He's got some interesting systems of basically building up chi and then using that chi in a limited amount of time to do a lot of damage. He can also heal others and heal himself. He's very melee focused, so he can't shoot anything natively, but you can take any character in the toy box and give him, ranged weapons and put him in vehicles and things like that to give him range. But he's purely a melee character, and he's very true to what I think Iron Fist is, at least in the comic books. He's super cool. So that's probably my favorite.
If anyone hasn't seen Guardians of the Galaxy, you need to go see that movie because it's awesome. When we started working on the characters, the avatars for the Guardians of the Galaxy, it was pretty early on in the film production, and they've been working on it for a while, but our schedules don't exactly coincide, so we didn't have a whole ton of reference besides what they look like and a brief description. And as we went down, we got a whole lot more, which is great working with Marvel. But in the beginning, it was fun just taking this model. It's like, okay, what is this Groot, this tree guy? What does he do? And we're coming up with stuff and going through a lot of iteration. And then we'll hear more from Marvel and see more reference. And it was really, really cool to finally see the finished product, Guardians of the Galaxy, and tie that into Disney Infinity Guardians of the Galaxy, and it turned out really well.
I would agree. I think it's another example of the relationship with Marvel, and also the playset you're looking at here. This is part of the Guardians playset. So it's developed by actually a studio called Gobo Games, and they're in the UK. And the team over there was super passionate. They did our Pirates of the Caribbean playset in the first game. They're really good. They care a lot about the characters, and that's an example of them actually. We would propose, hey, I think here's what I think the character should do, and they would push back at times and be like, you know what, we would rather this guy do this thing or that thing, and in a lot of cases they were right, and they helped really push the design in good ways. So it's cool. I'm going to do one more question, unless you guys want to. Actually, we should do one more question from the panel, and then I want to open it up to you guys if you have questions for us. You can come into the mics here and ask us anything you want. I may not answer the question, but you ask us whatever you want. So I think the thing I'd like to ask you, do you guys have something to ask?
I was going to talk about just what our favorite improvement or our favorite new feature of Infinity 2 is from the first one. And I'll just start with mine. My favorite has got to be the dungeon crawler, which is so I mean we have the different play sets, and one of the complaints with the first game was there's kind of these secondary characters that don't necessarily belong to their own full play set. And I mean it was still a great buy in my opinion, because when you're playing Toy Box, and we still put the same amount of work into that character's powers and stuff. But some people weren't happy that all they could do was Toy Box. And so in Infinity 2, we still have true to property play. You still can't bring, Donald Duck into the Guardians of the Galaxy's playset. But what we do have is this new structured Toy Box modes, and basically it's gameplay that is built out of our own Toy Box tools that you can just bring all the characters into. So, and in particular, we have this dungeon crawler. It's kind of like Diablo 3, and it's just a whole lot of fun. Like you're getting loot for your little sidekick and just battling guys. And I think it brings a whole lot of value to not just the characters that you would get for the playsets anyways, but also the secondary characters, and really happy about it.
That was really fun, and everything is co-op, right? So the playsets are co-op, split screen 2-player.
And it's online there.
Yeah, the modes are online, so I think it's 4-player co-op in the modes, which is really cool. And you get, I don't know if you mentioned the sidekicks, but one kind of cool feature of the mode Tim's talking about is right off the bat you get what's called a sidekick, and that sidekick follows you around, and you can level it up, you can find loot for it. So this mode he's talking about in particular has all the components that make a game like Diablo really addictive and really fun. And how it starts out, we're looking at it's called the Kiln. This is wrapped in the Guardians of the Galaxy universe. When you start out, you can only use the Guardian or any Marvel character. But then quickly after you beat the first level, we unlock basically a skirmish mode. It gives you 50 levels or something, and they're big, they're huge, and you can use any character in that mode. But these do have their own stories, and I think they're just an awesome way that we've expanded our gameplay in the game. So there's this, which is like dungeon crawler mode, is what we called it on the team, and we also have another mode that's like a tower defense game. And the cool part too is that as you play through these, you unlock toys for Toy Box mode, where you can make your own dungeon crawler, you can make your own tower defense game. So it's just expanding the palette of what you can do and what you can create in Infinity, which is really cool. What about you?
Along those same lines, we kind of have this mantra with Disney Infinity of can I, yes I can. So as we're developing these characters, that's something we definitely keep in mind as we, well, kind of what that turned into is a very broad and a lot deeper access to different mechanics, especially combat mechanics. I mean, Disney Infinity 2, different from Infinity 1, was a lot more combat-centric. Infinity 1, the Incredibles playset was pretty centered on combat as well, but we wanted to take that and plus it. And as we started plussing it, there was just so many of these collaborative, what if we did this? And what if we did that? And there's just kind of taken these avatars of these ideas, and it ended up being with a very synergistic can I, yes I can, that gave us a really deep combat experience, I think. We had a lot of new motions and new animations, and even though we're talking about Disney Marvel superheroes, we worked a lot as well on our Disney characters and a lot of those. And it was really fun to also pay homage to their lore, like Donald Duck. When we were animating Donald Duck, we wanted to have Donald Duck feel like he is just throwing a tantrum and raging and freaking out like he is doing in the cartoon. So he's throwing watermelons, he's throwing hammers and mallets and anvils and kitchen sinks, and it was over the top, really fun. One of the most challenging things for myself, I went from animating Hulk to animating Tinkerbell, and my wife could actually see the difference in me as I'd come home, because I would animating Hulk, I'm looking at Ultimate Fighting Championship moves and YouTube videos, and then I go to looking at Olympic rhythmic gymnastics and figure skating, and I called my wife up sometimes. I'm like, honey, I'm coming home early because I can't take any more figure skating. But even then, Tinkerbell turned out to be this really awesome mix of a fairy tomboy character that could still live in the same world side by side with Hulk, and in a good way, in a way that felt right.
And real quickly, I think it's hard for me to pick a feature. I think Dungeon and Color Mode is one. I'm stoked on the progression. Like I really am proud of where we got. There are places I want to take it from here. But the super move mechanic, we have a new mechanic, super move. You build up an economy that you collect in the world, and then you can trigger, every character has a unique super move. And that was kind of it was a very taxing and laborious process, I think, for the team. But it's another way in which we take each character and kind of define them as unique.
Super moves, I'm just going to cut in here, they were awesome. Most of our moves, we had kind of a template. We have, okay, everyone has the blocking mechanic. How is Thor going to block? He's going to spin his hammer, whereas Captain America is going to hold up a shield. Maybe Spider-Man is going to cast a web shield or something. But then you have the special ability, the super move, where everyone, it's just kind of like, open season. Okay, what are we going to do for this guy? And none of the super moves really related at all with the other characters. Like, okay, this guy, the coolest thing he's going to do is this. And it ended up being kind of a can of worms, and it was a lot of work, but it was something that I think has a lot of payoff, because each one of these guys has this really cool move that is unlike any of the other avatars.
Okay, let's go to Q&A for us. Like, do you guys want to ask us anything?